I'm Ron Dupree, and I'm about to share with you the secret of how I started making millions of dollars from my one-bedroom apartment. Once I figured it out, it was so easy I couldn't even believe it. And it all came down to one simple concept: scamming. I was working at a local McDonald's making minimum wage when all around me I saw people living the high life, and I always wondered why I couldn't have what they had. Millions of dollars, luxurious homes, and countless other extravagances that I could never even dream of. Then one day I stumbled onto a way of making millions and millions of dollars. I went out to a park to score a bag of weed when a man approached me and told me if I gave him $20, he would come back with some high-quality ganja. Well, I waited around for him for about 3 hours when I finally realized that I had been had. And that's when it came to me. I had just stumbled onto an incredible money-making opportunity. All I had to do was to get people to believe me and then rip them off. It was so easy. Within weeks, I had quit my job at McDonald's and began making hundreds of thousands of dollars from my one-bedroom apartment. And now I'm about to share the secret with you for an unbelievably low price. It's so easy. When I tell people how I do it, they still don't believe me. But look at this, a $20,000 check from Frida Mae Harrison, who believes she's an investor in a Tom Cruise movie. And another $35,000 from Fred Carmichael, who now owns a worthless gold mine in the Nevada desert. And look at this, a whopping $65,000 check from Cheryl Christian, who is convinced that George W. Bush is going to have her over to the White House for tea. It's unbelievable. You made how much?
I made $30,000 in one day.
In one day?
Yeah, conning this older couple in this make-believe horse racing scam. It was a cinch.
I ripped off my first person by pulling the old, "Hey, I don't have any gas to get home, but if you lend me some cash, I'll pay you as soon as I get there" trick, and I made a quick 20. I felt so good, and then all of a sudden I thought, if I had done this to 200 or 300 people, I could be making big money in no time. And that's what I did out of my one-bedroom apartment. Imagine how much money you could be making if you got excited and started doing this right now.
We were content to live out the rest of our days with just the retirement and the little bit of money that we had saved.
But it wasn't much, and with Social Security and the small pension he had from working at the bank.
But then we heard about your program, and before long we were bilking people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You would be shocked at what people believe, especially coming from a little old lady.
I'll never forget when my friend Bob called and said, "Ron, you've got to start scamming the federal government." And I said, "Wait, Bob, you don't understand. I'm making a fortune scamming unsuspecting suckers with tiny little ads. Besides, I don't know the first thing about scamming the government." And Bob said, "Wait, don't worry. I've got it all figured out. I'll set you up as long as I get a cut." Well, before long, I was sending Bob checks for $200,000 because I was making so much money off of the government, who was sending me welfare checks for people who had been dead for over a decade. And then they'd send me a ton of food stamps for their children, which I then traded for heroin, which I sold on the black market for a fortune. I couldn't believe how much money I was making.
I'm making $40,000 a day, conservatively, with just credit card fraud alone.
Why would anybody work for $10 to $15 an hour when they could be making so much money just from working out of their house? I never graduated from high school, and I've become a self-made millionaire because I stumbled onto the secret of wealth, and it's other people's greed and stupidity.
Ever since I saw his tapes and ordered them and never received anything, I was convinced scamming is for me. Ron's a genius. I have never looked back.
The package doesn't even exist. All the books, testimonials, checks you saw in this program, they're all completely phony. But it doesn't even matter because while this commercial's been running, I've racked over $5 million worth of sales from my one-bedroom apartment. And don't bother telling anybody that you were duped because they'll just think you were stupid. But there is a way out, because if you call my 1-900 number right now, I'll explain to you a foolproof way where you can avoid ever having to pay for any credit card charges whatsoever. You'll never have to pay a cent, and you can slip away like a thief in the night. It's so easy. Just call me now and I'll feed you a bunch of malarkey that'll have your head swimming with possibilities. But not a word of it is true. Because if it was, I could be busted for a major felony, but I can't if what I'm doing is just making things up. I can simply plead insanity and have any court case thrown out. But I better go now because the feds will be here any second with a court order. Just remember, you could be making millions of dollars by swindling your friends and neighbors out of their hard-earned income. I better go because I think somebody just recognized me.